Hello my wonderful friends, Magus with you again today. And today I want to talk about, are you deceived? Now if you are deceived, you probably don't realize it, but many people are not so much deceived as they just don't want to be wrong. They just don't want to change. And I'm not going to change someone's mind like that. What I'm looking for are lookers, people that are honest enough to say to themselves, what I'm doing is not working. I know there's a better life for me, and I'm willing to change to get that. And it reminds me of the analogy of a drowning man. He's in the water and he's choking on water and he keeps going under and he's asking everyone, am I saved? You should know when you're saved. You should know the difference of being up on the boat, dry, comfortable, maybe a nice drink in your hand with a little umbrella with your loved ones, enjoying the ride on the boat, or if you're in the water, sucking in water, drowning, struggling, you should be able to tell the difference. Now, where the confusion and the deception comes is when the people in the water with you are trying to tell you that this is normal. I picture a priest next to the drowning man telling him, oh, this is good. This must mean that you have a great future in the church because Satan is really attacking you and there'll be a great reward for you when you die. And they just feed their minds with these silly ideas and confusion. And here is God up on the boat throwing the man the life ring, and the priest is telling him, don't grab that life ring. That could be evil. Don't take a chance, and they put confusion in their minds and the person doesn't know what to do. And it takes a person that finally wakes up, looks at his kids and his wife drowning next to him and say, enough of this. And they grab the life ring. And when they're pulled up on the boat in safety, they realize it was God saving them. It was not a devil. It was not a trick. It was God. And it should be so simple. But people make it confusing. They do it. Some of them themselves are deceived. Some of them use it for control. And I heard this saying one time, the best way to defeat your opponent is to lead your opponent. And so that's why a lot of times you'll see with these evil kings and rulers, they have a priest standing right next to them. And many of you know how I feel about priests. They try to bring you away from God with their lies and their confusion. And I always tell people, stay out of church because they might have some good things to say, but the bad things they say takes a long, long time to get out of your mind. And it brings a lot of confusion. And we need to all learn to go inside and find God. God is in every one of us. That divine spark is in us. And we can go in and know what love is, know what truth is, and know what good is. And today it is so backwards. Many of the churches and priests are teaching that war is okay. In the church I grew up in, they would send off the young people to war with their blessings. Okay, that is not God. That is survival of the fittest. That should not be in church. Now, I want to share a story with you about the woman walking to work. I know many of you have heard this, but there's a woman walking to work, and every day she gets harassed and attacked and raped, but she has to provide for her family and she has to get to work. And finally one day she's had enough. She goes crazy. She grabs a rock and hits one of the attackers, grabs a sharp stick, stabs another one, and fights them off. And now when she goes to work, they leave her alone. And now she's become a bit of a celebrity in her city there. And the women want to be like her. And they interview her. And she's even got her own self-defense studio. And people are saying, thank God, But that is just survival of the fittest. That is not God. That is not the highest truth. Now, I always say, if you find yourself in a situation like that, of being a helpless victim or having to resort to violence like that, then you do what you have to do. I would not fault anyone for that. You do the best you can with the situation. It feels better to go into violence and anger than to be a helpless victim. But there is a higher way. And I tell the story of one of my friends, and she was walking to work and a car pulled over and they were going to try to abduct her. She overheard them saying they were going to abduct her, and they jumped out and tried to grab her, and she called out on the name of the Lord, and she said they froze and she ran off. Now that is the highest good. That is living in Asha, living in good in God the way it's supposed to be. So I think it's important that we always separate survival of the fittest and living in God, living in Asha, and always strive to live in God, to live in Asha, and not call living survival of the fittest God, because you will only rise as high as your highest thought. What we hold inside, we create outside. So if your highest idea of God is warring and killing and always struggling and fighting, that's what your existence will always look like. We need a higher thought. Speaking of deceived, this story I found fascinating of the Nazi guard. It was one of the last Nazi guards alive. He was on his deathbed, and a journalist wanted to see if he had had a change of heart with all the information that has come out, and the concentration camps and the museums, and has he had a change of heart about what he did? And she was shocked to find out, no, he did not. And he told her, I did it for God, and I did it for my country. That, my friend, is deception. That kind of person, you cannot change their mind. They are not lookers. They are not looking to change their life. They are not ready to humble themselves and beat on their chest and say, Father, forgive me. I have sinned. I didn't know any better at the time. Forgive me. And have a change of mind, a change of heart, and a change of life. The opposition can actually change your DNA. I heard a fascinating story about whales and the killer whales. Wherever they live on the planet, they adapt to the hunting styles, and then it is passed on to their young. And as we know from studies, that even our own DNA is passed to our children for 7 generations. So if the enemy can get in and change your DNA, it will be passed on to your children and your children's children for 7 generations. Then they don't have to, by force make you conform. It is just now your nature to conform to their lies and to their deception. And so they want to change your very DNA. But if you can get the highest truth into you, into your heart, into your mind, you can change your very DNA for God, for good, by holding the highest truth, Asha. It's what Jesus spoke about, the word. He who holds my word will be saved, will be passed from death to life. And you will change not only your own life, your own world, but your children and your children's children for 7 generations. The dark system likes to offer you different choices that is in their realm of control. Okay, you need to look for the God option. Many of you know I have a prophetic gift. I can tell you exactly what is going to happen in the future. Okay, it's going to go to a one world government, but thank God it will not stay there. Then it will eventually go to a God-run world. All the kingdoms in this earth will be one day ruled by God, by good. Hallelujah. What do I mean by that? It means that it will be run by love, by peace, by kindness, by God. As I've taught you, God and good are the exact same thing. You will want good only for yourself and for your neighbor. And a person doesn't need to lock their door at night anymore. When you love your neighbor, when you want the best for the people living around you, they don't fear you. You don't fear them. You share with each other. You love each other. It's one big family ruled by love, by God. Love is our religion. Love is our God. Hallelujah. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys to do something for me. Those of you who follow me, and truly follow the teaching of the Magi, please hit pause and go grab a pen and paper, and I'm going to ask you to do a couple things to help change this world for good, for God. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is get this book. It's Switch on Your Brain by Dr. Caroline Leaf. It's an amazing book, and she works in the area of cognitive neuroscience, and it's just about how we can rewire the brain and our DNA. You have to get this book. The second thing I want you to do is, I know many of you have a private Instagram and your Facebook and everything, but social media is a great way to get the message of the Magi out, and it's going to take all of us doing this to change the world. I've been doing social media for a year, and like last time I talked to you, we were in 76 countries. I just checked last night, we're in 83 countries now, and I mean thousands and thousands of people have heard the message of the Magi. So many praise reports, physical healings, mental, spiritual, just lives are changing. You can change the world, and that's just one person spreading this message for 1 year. Imagine if all of you start spreading that message, and I'm going to teach you how to do that and what I did, and we can change the world. And another thing I want to touch on before I go on is time. Don't worry about time. Don't worry about the timeline of when you come to this earth and when you leave this earth. We are infinite beings. We are one with God. So you, by changing your vibration, you are making a huge difference in this world, and not only the lives of yourself and your children and your immediate family, you are changing the vibration of the earth. And every time you touch and reach out to other people and they feel that vibration of love and kindness, you're changing something in them. And in the long run, like I said, we win. God will rule this earth again, and it will be run by love and peace and joy and kindness, and you have a big part to play. That's why you are in this time space right now. So I'm going to teach you how to take advantage of this time. And with my Instagram, I hope you can see this on the camera, but I'm asking you, I know you have your private accounts, keep those, but make a public account for ministry. And you don't have to use your name if you don't want. You could just put a message of the Magi or life-changing message or something along those lines. And then you can put in your bio, like here I have, please enjoy this life-changing YouTube video. And then you can put a link in there, and they just touch that link and it takes them right to the video to get the message. And so I'm asking all of you to do that, to start spreading the message and have your own ministry of changing people's lives for good, changing this earth back to love and to kindness. And the third thing I want to ask you to do is work on being more self-sufficient. As I'm watching all the things going on in the world and all the disasters, and you see lines and lines of people, and they don't know what to do. They're just helpless. They're so used to the government feeding them and almost training them like a dog to only take food from their hand, and they're just under the oppression of this dark system. Learn to take care of yourself. Start eating better. Start taking care of your body and exercising. You don't need to go to the doctor in the hospital all the time. That almost does more damage to you, unless you are dying or if you're suffering from a bad case of depression. You know, I deal with a lot of people with mental illness. There is a time when you have to take some medication to mellow yourself out and to center and to just come back to some kind of steady vibration, so you can even start to think the right thoughts again. So there's a time and place for it. But as much as you can, take care of yourself, eat right, exercise, think good thoughts, and then also learn to take care of yourself with gardening and getting your own water and know how to get your own shelter. I love, you know me, I live out in the woods. I can take care of myself, and I've done it where I completely live off the land. I can find all my food and water. If there was a natural disaster or some kind of strange event that took place, it would not change my life. I can live a great life no matter what. I have lived in the city in big beautiful homes with beautiful cars, and I've also lived out in the woods just on bare minimal things. And tell you the truth, I'm happier living out here in just peace and freedom, just living with nature and the vibration of good and God and love, and it's a good way, and I think everyone needs to experience it. You might not choose that as your lifestyle like I have, but you should experience it. You should get out and go for walks in nature. start a garden, learn how to make your own food, learn how to find your own fresh water, and just be a little more self-sufficient and just love each other. You can not only love just your family, you can love people when you're out and about. You don't have to say anything, but just a kind look in your eye, just the vibration that you hold. Instead of thinking a judgmental thought towards them, you can just think a good thought towards, a blessing towards them. And they can sense that and pick that up, and we're changing the vibration for good and for God. All right, you guys, I love you so much. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.